Did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with you? Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupert, live on the Fringe FM. And you know what? Laurie McDonald is back. I love Laurie. God, we have good conversations on here. We're going to talk about hypnotherapy, diving into the subconscious, the collective unconscious, and also, can you really see what's in your past life? And if you can, what could you find out? What types of things could you find out if you're going to do a past life? And I am currently setting up a past life regression with Laurie. We're going to work that out when that's going to happen. I don't know how much I can reveal or not, because there's all kinds of legalities and stuff going on, and Laurie's always busy, right? But I will say that I'm going to do it because I've been wanting to do it for quite some time. All right. And I want to figure some stuff out, man. Like some of the stuff I've been seeing, just some of the stuff I've been feeling, some of the stuff I've saw, some of the stuff I've dreamed about, some of the connections that I've had in my life, some of the things that just, when your intuition tells you something, for some reason, no matter what, it's not always easy to listen to spirit. When somebody comes around and they say, you must just listen to your spirit, just do it. That's all you got to do is just do it. But we as humans, we go through our lives and we've been, deceived and betrayed. So many things have happened to us that we want to make sure. We do. We want to make sure. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I used to, but I don't. I think it's kind of a mature thing and a protective thing. But also, understanding the unconscious, the subconscious, the collective unconscious, all of these things, when we understand this, now we can also have power over our reality, manifesting what comes into our reality. We can break bad habits. We can do lots of cool things. And so Laurie McDonald's here with us. We're going to talk about that too, from TrueYouHypnotherapy.com. I also want to thank all of the new patrons. I did release our first tarot session in there. And tomorrow we're going to try to get the Astral Journal episode 2 up in there, and as well as some more really cool stuff that's going to be in there. And yeah, there's already a bunch of people signing up for it, so I'm kind of excited. We're going to put cool, I've got videos, man, like behind the scenes videos, just goofball redneck stuff that I've done here. Just stuff I've been saving up, extra audios. It's going to be fun. Sign up. You'll get to be into the Discord chat, into the Voidwalker Discord chat. But if you want to come to the Fringe FM chat, you can. It's the fringe.fm/chat room. That's where all the cool people hang out. And you can call into the show at any point in time after we open the phones up at 1-800-588-0335. I want to thank our sponsors, GetTheT.com, as well as Metaphorical Archaeology. That's Barbara Charlton. Go to Facebook.com/Metaphorical Archaeology. If you go to GetTheT.com, you should be taking that stuff right now. Now, if this COVID thing is real or whatever they're saying it is, we're about to find out in a few weeks what's really going on. But I got some new stuff, this Apple Cider Plus, and it's for my immune system. I've been taking it. I've been feeling pretty dang good. Of course, I take the Allison stuff all the time, and CBD oil. But I got to be honest with you, I got so many bottles of stuff I forget to take certain things. I'm not going to lie. But this has really been giving me some good energy, the Apple Cider Plus, and it's for immune, so maybe it does both. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, so I can't say that kind of stuff. You know, legal disclaimer and all. So Laurie's here, and I don't think she's like a late nighter like we are. So let me get the show on the road, all right? Laurie has been a certified clinical hypnotherapist since 1995 and is a graduate and a member of Alchemical Hypnotherapy Institute of Sacramento, Alchemical Hypnotherapy Institute of New Mexico, and Sacramento Hypnosis Institute, and also the Sacramento Institute of Noetic Science, and American Council of Hypnotist Examiners, the A.C.H.E., the Dale Carnegie Effective Speaking and Human Relations as well. And go check out our website at trueyouhypnotherapy.com. And I believe the last time we talked, Laurie, you also made it clear that you were an experiencer, right? Or did I get that wrong? It's been so long since I talked to you. Thanks for coming back on.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be back. Oh, yes, I'm an experiencer of many things. And as it turns out, that's what we see. People who are an experiencer of phenomena, they find themselves more prone to other types of activity like hauntings or sightings of apparitions or even glimpses or glitches in the universe. So it's kind of like once you're open or awakened to certain things, the other information from other universes and dimensions begins to sort of blend together. It's very interesting times we're living in now.
It is, isn't it? Like, it's some really weird stuff going on, man. It's like some Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock film. You know, I bring this up quite a bit. Weird air, strange air is going on around right now. I mean, astrologically, things are crazy. I've been trying to tell everybody in the Fringe FM, like chat and astrology channels and all of that stuff. But let me ask you a question. Have people been coming to you here lately with all of this going on with more like weird stuff, more than just like not, you know, because I know people come to you and say, look, I want to quit smoking. I want to lose weight. I'm talking about the paranormal stuff or the past life stuff. Has that picked up at all? Have you noticed anything?
You know, I've always done a lot of that. What people are really beginning to talk about are their dreams. They seem to be having a lot more lucid dreams, and it seems to be some form of an awakening. It's definitely an ability for insight. It's the subconscious mind, you know, communicating to the conscious mind just to integrate awareness. So yes, in past lives too, because past lives can give us enough insight into sort of the soul's ascension or evolution. And it's funny too, when I do past life regression work with people, they may have like a scar on their forehead or on their chin or something, and it will be the same scar or wound that they had in the previous life. So maybe somebody might be born with a birthmark where they were shot, and right where that bullet entered, they'll have a little splaying of a birthmark. So there are definitely signs both physically and etherically that we've been here before. And it's really a matter of our ability to be calm and relaxed enough to interpret the environment in which we live, because there are signs and other forms of intelligence trying to communicate pretty much all the time. It's really knowing who and what to get information from. It can be a little bit daunting because, you know, once you open up those doors, you begin going on these explorations. And like I said, it's just like having a UFO experience. Next thing you know, you're, you know, hearing knocking in the night or something. And that's because people's psychism or empathetic abilities become enhanced once they've had some form of contact, whatever it is. All of it, though, is the opportunity for us to learn about ourselves so that we can start answering those bigger questions of our purpose, our multidimensionality, why we're here, what we're experiencing, and what we're supposed to do with this information. It's really like, where do we go with it now? You know, everybody seems to be awakened to a certain level, but what do we do with this information? How do we use it to serve, you know, mankind in a higher way?
Well, is it to me, it's like, honestly, I know this is going to sound kind of sappy, but I've had a kind of a different transition in my life where I used to get real fiery about everything, and I still do, but I've learned to kind of like open up what's always been inside me is kind of just like love, to spread love as much as possible. I don't mean like the 60s, like flower child stuff. I mean, I'm not going that far, but I think there's some real resistance going on here where like there's this energy that's trying to get us to stay in these fear zones or places of fear, or just trying to sabotage who we are to begin with, you know. And it's like this is like the precipice of it.
Well, I'm just finished writing a new book called 5 Steps to Personal Empowerment and Inner Peace. And really what it is it's learning to recognize the different parts of our psyche and ourself. It answers some of the big philosophical questions that we have, why we're seeking what we're seeking, and what to do with the information. Mm-hmm. But it really is ultimately about self-acceptance so that you can have that love, and taking a really good personal assessment of our life, you know, the things that have happened, where we take responsibility, where we choose to learn or grow. We can get to doing that emotional work, start doing some healing, maybe even some forgiving, although I don't really think that we need to do too much forgiveness, because unless you've done things that you knew were wrong and you did them anyway, but other than that, really, you don't need to forgive somebody for trying and learning and growing. I mean,
right.
But absolutely, it's about learning about the self and trying to figure that all out. When you get a good look at yourself, you'll see that there are things that need to be changed, but you cannot change what you cannot accept. So you have to have this level of self-acceptance, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, whatever. Just embrace all of it, and it's that love right there. It's an unconditional, self-accepting love that allows growth and developing. And that's what really people need to be doing. You look around, they're wounded and fear-based and really confused with headlines and things with the coronavirus and the implications, the breakdown of the economy. We see this as a pandemic. It's happening everywhere in the world, but it may just be a psychological operation to see how to control the masses. And it may also be a very convenient opportunity to move into a cashless society. Maybe money is dirty. Maybe money has the coronavirus. So, I mean, it's a good opportunity right now for people to start learning about viruses, about their own body and their minds. And obviously the soul, it's a threefold thing here. But there has to be some innocence and kindness and unconditional loving. And that's, we've been at war for a long time over one thing or another, always fighting to be superior, to be victorious, to be better, our way or no way sort of thing. And you don't need to, an empowered person doesn't have to do that. They can allow people to believe what they want to believe. It doesn't harm them in any way,
Yeah, I always find, I always find myself trying to fix, like, especially here lately, like everybody's thoughts and fears and stuff. And then it's like, what, like even my own, I got enough problems with my own stuff, which I'm starting to realize is like not my thing. It's not me. That's not me. Like what is it about holding on to things based in fear why did I do that? Like, really? And the more I thought about it, I did a tarot reading on this earlier, then the more I thought about it, it was like, well, I did those things because I didn't really feel like I was worth anything because I didn't have anything to show for myself. But the more I dug, and I'm talking about some deep meditation, like meditation to where I really just didn't talk about it, but I would do it after I woke up because that's when my body was mostly relaxed. I wasn't trying to astral travel or anything. And I would, every time I had a bad emotion, instead of running from it, I would just start feeling it. So I had this idea, like, I'm just going to start feeling these emotions instead of running from them. Even if it's like fear, or even if it like shakes me up. And it was like breakthroughs were happening big time,
And that's what it takes. It's that facing it and feeling it and accepting it and moving on from it, from that. But you can't, like I said, you can't change what you can't see or what you can't accept or what you won't allow yourself to experience. And for lots of reasons, society does need to be shaken up. It's okay to fall down and learn and get back up. And what we value, where we think our worth isn't in the materialism. But humans are manifestors. Everything we see, we've created because we thought it. And through that thought, it was man-made or it was manufactured. It was manifested through our thinking. And so we've created this incredible external world. But now it's time to stop that and regain balance and begin to heal the internal world. And I think that when people do that, their emotional intelligence just soars. And it's when you can be in the moment, relaxed, at ease in the mind and body, begin to really self-accept and develop, whether it's tarot cards or whether it's taking a course, but just developing yourself, where you find a deficiency and then taking the steps. And so fear is a big one, and man has been manipulated by fear forever. But there's a solar plexus exercise that I do and teach at the workshops and retreats that I do. And so whatever the situation is, you place your hands on the solar plexus, which is, above the navel and below the rib cage. It's right there where there's that cluster of nerves. And some scientists think it's another brain. And it very well can be, because it actually receives information prior to the information going into the processor hardcore brain that we have. But you place your hands on the solar plexus and breathing into it, you ask yourself, deeply and sincerely and with all honesty, what am I afraid of? And just sit with that question for a second, like, what am I afraid of? And you watch how that just doesn't bubble up into the conscious mind. And there it is, right there in front of you. And you can have a look at it. And then you ask yourself, is that a real fear or an imagined fear?
Exactly right.
Real fear is imminent danger. It's happening right now, But an imagined fear is, well, this had happened before. It could have, it might, it did. Those are all imagining, and now we're going to manifest them because we're so darn good at that. And so when you realize that it's an imagined fear, you have to let go of that energy right away and redirect it. Yeah. And of course, if it's a real fear, and maybe you're afraid of the coronavirus.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Laurie. Like, I just came to that like, I don't want to be around fear at all. I'm just like done with it. I'm not saying that I'm not, like, if somebody gets afraid, I'm just going to walk away from them or anything. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve anybody, really. But but I've had these things now that I've been like trying to tap into my intuition more, where I get like these spidey sense type things, you know? And some people have visions, right? I swear they do. They don't even know how gifted they are. They have visions, they see things, and then some people hear things. Me, like, I'll feel it. And it's like, okay, this is the third or fourth time I felt this. Now, what am I supposed to do if I don't want to be around fear and all this other stuff? But this was not a thought before it happened. I wasn't even doing anything that had anything to do with it. It just, whoa, you know, what was that? Right? So, then what? Right? So what do you do there?
Well, you find out what that sensation is. You scan your environment, mentally feeling into your immediate environment and yourself to see if it's yours, your energy, or something else's.
Right.
And once you begin to make that determination, you'll know. If it's yours, then you'll be able to control it. If it's you're sensing or intuiting something else's energy, then you can sit with that for just a moment and feel it out. As long as you're well grounded and calm and strong and are not afraid, because when you're afraid, the energy changes and they prey on that. Other doors open, there is legitimate fear, though. Don't get me wrong. There are things that people do need to be protected from. That's why we have fear. But the idea is to continuously move forward with fear. So you ask, what is my next empowered step? What is my next empowered step? If you continue to ask yourself that question, then the answer becomes very apparent. You do it with your hands on the solar plexus. I'm telling you, you're working with your intuition, you're grounding it, you're connecting it, you're open to it, so you're going to be able to see the situation from a much higher perspective and much better control. And you'll know what to do. We've been having a lot of strange activity in our house. Both my husband and I have been having this like weird sensation that somebody's walking up behind us, or I'll be on a device and I'll feel like somebody like was leaning over my shoulder and reading the device. And so I'll close it or shut it down and move, because I really do feel it. And that, and so I respond in a way that just like I would if it was, a human. I don't know that it's not. It's very unusual, but things are happening right now. The universe, as we know it, is expanding. It's always expanding, but right now it's having a growth spurt. It's like getting its adult teeth, and there'll be some growing pains, new radiations, and new energies hitting the earth, and new awarenesses. And so we'll have to begin to get rid of some old thought patterns, behaviors, and begin to adapt in a way that is healthy and balanced and grounded. And as long as we understand this is a world of duality, that we have to continue to look at full options. We can't just look at one path. We have to look at both sides of everything and begin to move forward. But people are confused, and that's how you control them. You give them all kinds of different information, and you make them terrified and compliant, and they don't know what to do. And can you blame them? This is a new situation. The coronavirus, this is relatively new, not the virus. It's been around for 8,000 years.
You know what? I think you're totally right about that. And I think that rubs off on us too, like in a bigger way than what I was thinking before. Like my son took his driver's test today, And I've had this like overprotective feeling over my son, my dad, like anybody that's really close to me. And I feel like I have to be like, hey, be careful. Just be careful. Don't worry about anything, but be careful. And you know what that's doing? That's like, they're like, well, be careful about what? I'm like, well, you shouldn't be driving anyways if you don't have your permit yet, because he's being stupid. Like, you want to drive without his permit. I'm like, don't do that. And I just want him to be careful because of all this stuff that's going on and these weird energies. And it's like, I'm trying to, I'm overprotective. You know what I mean? And it's hard for me to let go of that too. But I'm realizing that all I'm doing is just making stuff worse by being overprotective. Like it's almost like the energy's affecting me. And because I love that person, it's having me project overprotectiveness over him or something, and causes him to be afraid when he wasn't before. That kind of thing, Yeah.
So, I mean, as parents, we have to set a good example and trust that we raised them to have the skills to be able to handle the world. I mean, that's what every parent wants, is to know that they've taught their children how to survive in the world without us, because ultimately we're not going to be here for everything. And I was really happy my son got back into the country on the 8th of March. He had been in Thailand for a year, and he got back just in time. I wouldn't have wanted him to be locked down there. And
right.
I was trying not to worry, but I was trying to have just the right amount of caution and concern without freaking him out either.
That's a motherly thing. Mothers are going to worry. That's totally natural, Like, you can't blame it. Yeah, nobody can blame you for that. But I've realized that even love can be a problem if it's not balanced. Like, I'm coming into all these realizations is what I'm saying about this kind of stuff. Like, you can love things too much. Sometimes you just need to back off and let them do it, whatever, But,
well, that's real love, actually.
Yeah, you just need to, like, okay, whatever, just do your thing and then just pray and be like, go back, and especially when it's your kid, right? You used to go back and you just like, please, God, don't let anything crazy happen to him, and that's all you can do.
Let them express themselves. Find out who they are, where they fit into the world, and that's their right. And and it's hard not to worry, but kids like to be worried about too. It's nice to know that somebody cares. It's nice to know that if they make a mistake, someone's there to help them through it.
Yeah, and I think more of us need to be that way, not just with our kids, but with each other. Like, we've got, I don't know, I guess I am in this flower child energy right now, but we just need to stop having so many expectations on each other, man, and thinking like, and then casting judgments left and right. And we've got enough of that stuff, man. Like, we need to go into this new thing that wants to happen. And
well, it's a very competitive society that we live in, and people are so competitive and so driven by their desire to be more successful, or at least appear more successful, that it's nothing for them to throw somebody under the bus or talk about them, behind their back, because it thinks it makes them look better or bigger in some way. And so these are all wounded aspects of our society, and they do need to be corrected. And I do believe that we have the ability to self-correct, to tap into that higher energy, and to begin to heal. Past life regression can help with all forms of understanding. Inner child work absolutely, secures that root chakra, secures the inner child, makes them feel safe, makes them feel that they'll be successful. What that session is like, the adult self stays the adult, but we sort of bring forward through the subconscious the inner child, kind of a meet yourself when you were young or fear-based, and look into the eyes of your inner child. Let them see your successes. Let them see your capabilities. Let them see that they'll be okay. And when they realize that they'll survive, that they'll be okay, all the emotional energy in the adult's body begins to relax. The foundation is more secure. All the other relationships now are built with a much stronger foundation of trust and of security. Inner child work is very important.
Yeah, so we have, and I totally agree on that too, but it's like, I swear, every guest that comes on this show talks about what I've been going through and others have been going through. I feel like a lot of us are going through the same things, especially like this community, but I want to know, when people have come to you about past life stuff, I know you don't have to like explain like the induction, but what are some of the first things that pop up? Do you go straight to their childhood, or does it go back into like in between lives, or is it really random?
I do a very thorough, deep intake interview that lasts about an hour. That's before the session even starts. It's very important for me to understand the verbiage, how the person expresses themselves, how they talk, so that I'll know how to help them access that stream of sort of superconscious mind, way deeper or higher, however you want to look at it, than the subconscious mind. And so we do sort of begin to allow the consciousness to start to travel back. And like, I might even have somebody imagine the pages of a calendar flipping backwards, months and years and decades. And sometimes just the client knows when that calendar is going to stop, at what year or what event.
Wow.
Whatever seems to be important. It's like some library in the soul. And they know right where to stop, and whatever the issue that they suffered in that life, we'll see by the way they died or their position in life, what they were allowed or not allowed to do. Of course, a lot of women weren't allowed to speak or express themselves or teach or have an opinion or know politics or know God or nature. They weren't allowed to know anything. So there's some stifling of growth and suppression, deep in the soul there. And so whatever the issues are in this life, we can see where they began and then begin to unravel that. And it's very, very vivid, very real. I had one young woman take the notes from the recorded session and tried to search out the information to see what she could find. And in fact, she found some of the villages that she named in France, a family that she thought were her parents that were killed in an accident, I think some type of fire. And she was left adopted into somebody's, good graces in town. She remembered the name of her name then. Wow. And was able to look it up and saw that there was information about the fire and about the little girl. And, I'm sometimes astounded at what people will say so matter-of-factly. And sometimes their voices change, or they pick up a lilt or accent of sorts. Or
their voices change, really?
Yeah, their voices change a little. They'll pick the way they, and I'm telling you, I listened very carefully for a full hour for all of these different things, so I can determine, But there are other ways for us to determine too. There's these portable EEGs that go on your head, and after the person is counted down and regressed, we're able to see the beta brainwave become lower, and the alpha brainwave becomes open and more receptive, and you can see that that's where the brain is firing, is in that area. So it's quite remarkable what we're able to do with our own minds, our own souls. We are eternal beings, and the idea of knowing what we are, why we're here, what our destiny is, our purpose, are we fulfilling that? You know, how come we don't always have full memory?
Yeah, why does it have to be so hard, really? That's the thing about it. Like, why can't it just be like, here it is, you know, here's what you're supposed to do, go do it. Like, why does it have to be such a dang mystery all the time?
Well, children have a lot of insight into their past life because that's not blocked when they come in. And if you talk to a young child, you can get a lot of information out of them. I mean, my son startled us when he was about 2. And he said, okay, well, it's time to go home now. And we said, well, we are home. And he said, no, the city of lights, out home, you know, to the city of lights. We had no idea where he was getting, you know, this, but he just distinctly remembered another home. And it was apparently a city of lights. And he was 2-ish. A little older.
About 2 years old?
Yeah, very good speaker. He was always able to talk. He's a writer. He was teaching English. You know, he's very articulate. And so he used to say that. It was very, very interesting. So kids, definitely, if the adult is more aware or more open, you know, parents get mad when they ask for their other mommy.
Yeah, but that's crazy. Like, you know, like, I know I've been around toddlers my whole life, and I've known a couple that are like that. And then, you know, there's this one who's really sharp, and it just names people, you know, and good. I was good at writing in numbers too when I was little. And I remember Dad telling me I used to say crazy stuff too, but I think we should, like, when they do those things, I think we should encourage it some way. Do you think we should encourage it or just leave it alone, or what?
Well, we have to honor it. We have to encourage it. We have to allow them to know they're more than what they are in this moment. That our soul transcends both time and space. That we have a multidimensionality. That the word human is a definition for the type of entity that we are. That hue comes from the word hues, which is a measurement to measure the depth and saturation of light. And man comes from the word manifestation, to come into the physical or to be embodied, in that a human is a light embodied being, and that race and gender are just subcategories of the definition of the type of entity that we are. And when we know what we are, why we're here, and what we are supposed to be doing becomes far more apparent, and we're more at ease, and there is less competitiveness. There is more unconditional, non-judgmental love and acceptance. There's more capabilities and abilities to appreciate the abundance and this great opportunity, because it's awesome to be embodied, to be in a physical body, and to have all these opportunities to swim in oceans and run and walk on grass or sand. It's very cool. I mean, it's also very cool to not be in a body, to not have any sensation of time or just this weightlessness in the mind and body. No sensation of time or the movement of time like there is here. You know, being in and out of the body, both are great, and we have to appreciate. So we're here for lots of reasons. And we're young species.
You're speaking my language, Laurie. You know that? You already knew that. That's why you're saying all that stuff, huh? But that's why. No, I'm just playing. But no, seriously, like, you're so right about that. I mean, there's a bigger, higher love about life. I get to like when people talk about that stuff, like, I can't wait to get out of here and go somewhere. And I'm like, why? I mean, why do you want to get out of here? There's so much stuff you can experience here, man. Like, do it. And then the out of body stuff is even better. I think you could double your life, really. If you could become conscious while you're sleeping and moving around instead of forgetting it all the time, you could live twice the lifetime. Be, conscious way more. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could experience way more stuff.
That's where we're heading into. Listen, the multidimensional self is knocking on the door of our conscious awareness, and we are about to move through a new threshold of understanding what we are and what powerful co-creators we are, and what a beautiful, abundant world. And when things are in balance, this is a paradise. And of course, other extraterrestrials, we're just floating on this incredible blue bubble out in space. We are in space as much as any extraterrestrial. And we really do need to see that, they're all attracted to the multidimensional self of us humans, the abundance, our ability to manifest. These are powerful things, but we're our souls we're just like kids running with scissors. We're just reckless and, selfish, like kids can be.
Yeah, but you know what? When people make mistakes, I think forgiveness is a big thing. But after a while, you forgive 3, 4, 5 times, and you're like, hey, this isn't going to be, this is like a pattern. And I see, that's what I'm realizing too. I got to get away from these patterns and grow so I can get those experiences you're talking about. I want to do both of those things, like, I want to walk on the beach in the desert in life, and I want to do it in the astral realm, everything. So if I'm wasting my time trying to fix every little thing that I can't fix and trying to get people to see things my way or trying to make connections that don't want to happen, it's like, what am I doing?
Well, you're learning. Yeah. You're learning boundaries. You're learning where you're growing and where other people aren't. And you'll learn where to engage and when to disengage and not put any, no bad feelings, but, no more opportunities for disappointment either.
Yeah, exactly.
Allow other people to make their own mistakes and grow. And that's a big thing right there, is letting other people make their own mistakes. We don't have to teach them everything. We don't have to have them, see it our way. We can allow them, each person has their own destiny. Each person has their own lessons to learn, and we're all learning them together right now,
Yeah, we're all different too. Just because one person can handle something and another person can't handle it the same way you do doesn't make them like weaker or less intelligent or less spiritual or anything like that. Like, everybody's on their own path, for sure. For sure.
That's right. That's exactly right. And there are some people who I believe are going to call them spiritual warriors, and they come into this life willing to be short-handed for the majority of it. Their life will be rough. Maybe they'll have bad parents. Maybe they'll have bad relationships.
Wait, can we take that back? Can we because can we say we don't want it anymore?
Well, no. The idea is that we choose an accelerated learning path, that we learn all the different emotional issues that are helping or hurting mankind, and then we do something to make it better. Not on an individual, but on a broader base, maybe by having a podcast or a radio show, so that you can, bring the guests on that convey the messages that you believe, or to talk about topics of interest and so forth. And maybe, we all have our own role, but it's not about getting other people to believe or our way. I mean, maybe they can learn from our way and try that, and maybe that'll work for them, and that'll be great. But everybody has a fundamental, universal human right to unfold and tap into their own potential. Of course, we have been manipulated, and so we need to be retaught on how to, everybody senses their potential. They know that they can do more than maybe what they've done. Maybe in their youth, they saw themselves succeeding or fulfilling dreams and goals in one way, and maybe they woke up one day and were surprised that they weren't where they wanted to be in life. But we can move past those energies and tap back into that potential that we sense, we know is there, but there's been a block. As we begin to move those blocks, we begin to fulfill that potential, and we begin to really, really live. Up until that point, I believe we are just in a rat race, going around doing the same old thing day in and day out, and it's not getting us anywhere. It's like being in a rocking chair, you can go back and forth, back and forth. We know we're not really getting anywhere. It's a waste of energy. So it's time, for people to begin to do the healing. You got to do the emotional work. You got to feel the feelings. You have to get real. And when you are, you become empowered. You become peaceful, and you're able to move on self-exploration trips of the heart and soul. And this is when we tap into our higher self, our higher psychism. It's a whole new frequency. It's a higher frequency.
Well, you can't allow other people to, you can do that. You can allow other people to dictate your life and everything, but I don't do it. I can't. And it's like, well, here's what I've done. I've asked for the right kind of people to come into my life and the wrong kind of people to leave. And we've gotten a lot of cool people in the Void Walkers room, the Void Walkers, I guess chat room, stuff like that. But the problem is I think this whole spiritual thing puts a lot of pressure on people, honestly. And nobody wants to live their life under pressure all the time. And I don't feel like you have to if you just kind of step through it. And so what happens is I keep running into this situation where people want to do these types of things with me. And then when they do, and then they say, oh God, some of this is hard. And then they bail. It's like, what? And I think that's not a bad thing, though. I used to think that's bad, but it's not. It's not. It's not bad at all. You have to respect everybody's path. You know what I mean? Just like you said. Yeah,
there's no right and there's no wrong. There's just learning and experiencing. It's like the Gnostics knew. They were great teachers. And they taught about the experience. They also experimented with a lot of psychedelic drugs too. But they were very non-judgmental. And Mary was said to have been a Gnostic teacher, Mary from the House of Magdalene. And she was raised to apostle by the Vatican in May of 2017. They finally said that the person to the right of Jesus in the famous portrait of the Last Supper is indeed Mary. And the idea is that what he taught was what she taught as a Gnostic teacher: the love, the forgiveness, the understanding, the sharing, the unity, the oneness. Exactly. And these are all Gnostic teachings as well. And as well as apparently doing a lot of magic mushrooms and other things for spiritual reasons. So they say that Jesus was teaching what she wasn't allowed to say in the streets. Very interesting.
Well,
but but all of those ways of looking at things from that higher perspective of not right or wrong, but just it is. So what do we do with it? Why
well,
judge
you know
it?
what? It's not like, it's not a good thing to work. It's not a good thing not to just have fun and do what you're here to do either. Like, accept who you are and just do it. But I feel like that's, that could be just my thing. And I realize, like, I get on the show night after night and I start talking as if I know the answers. But people treat me that way, Laurie. Like, they treat me like I'm going to change something for them. And I don't want to be that person. I just want to be treated like I'm normal, you know?
Well, what you do is you teach them that, like I always say as a hypnotherapist, I'm just helping them learn how to help themselves. And it's really ultimately up to the individual. You know, you teach a person how to self-correct, how to change their energy and begin to develop themselves and into full actualization. You know, that's part of my 5 steps to personal empowerment. It's that self-acceptance and self-love and self-development. And then it's the mastering of the self. That's the 4th step, is self-mastery. When you become the master of the self, of your mind, it doesn't matter what other people think or what you can't take their power from them. They want to give you their power by saying, oh, you know, help me, heal me, you know, save me. Basically, it's save me. But then they're giving their power away. So you give their power back to them and allow them to take their own course to actualization, living the life that you've always dreamed of living, being the person that you always wanted to be, maybe having the job that you want to have. And for me, I did want to be a hypnotherapist. I feel I am self-actualized. And there are steps that people can take, and it is about keeping their own power. The problem is with the Western world is we give our power away far too easy. It's, you know, let the government take care of it, or somebody else's job, or they'll save me. It is the problem, I think, if extraterrestrials came down. That's one of my concerns, is that a big percentage of the people would be like, oh, good, they can save us. They're here to save us. But nobody can save us but ourselves, and nobody should save us but ourselves. We shouldn't take anybody's power or give our own power away. Personal empowerment generates deep feelings of inner peace, of tranquility, of feeling connected. The idea, person's left feeling kind of like a tree, deeply rooted in the earth, but forever aspiring unto the light. It's a strong, evolving, grounded energy. Everybody has the right to tap into that. It's a sense of peace, and it doesn't mean, like you say, some 60s hippie peace freaks, although that was cool too.
I bet it was. I bet it was cool. Like, I wanted to be around. I kind of think that maybe I did live during that time, but I don't, I keep a tight circle of people, and I try to keep them as private as possible in my life. And it's like, I can't do what I want to do, but I have the life I want to have. And that's what I've been thinking about here lately. I can't, because people just, I can't be this person on the radio and talk and, learn and have a community and just that be it, and it'd be cool without, I don't know how to explain it, without drawing some type of drama or something. So anytime I get, close friends or anything like that, I'm like, hey, look, people are going to mess with you. They might say something, I need, strong people around me, and it's
balanced, empowered people who aren't get all petty and freak out and start turning on you because you're doing well.
I don't know if that's it. I think I don't think people know what they're really capable of until they're tested, and then when they get tested, it shouldn't happen that way, but it does. We all fall short a lot of times, you know. I've done it too. You
We
know.
can push ourselves a little harder, but it is good to have good friends and people who believe in you and a support system.
Yep.
You know, we're not meant to go through this life alone. We are in this together, and you know but it is hard to have the right friends and good people around you when we are living in such a competitive society. People get weak and they just don't behave in their highest character. And I know I've heard some people say, oh, it's just human nature. Human nature is, you know, basically bad. That's what the end game is. And I don't believe that at all. I think that humans are incredible with great opportunities to make a beautiful existence, to coexist, to share, and to make a beautiful world here. And I think that once everybody calms down, you know, we'll be able to weed out the truly sick people in society, which apparently there are quite a lot of that going on if you're to believe any of the, you know, QAnon Q drops of all of the negative accounts of child molestation and sex slavery and sales of women and children and so forth. I mean, they'd surely point out some major negative things in our world. And some of these things do exist. Hopefully not to the extent to which they're saying, so organized, which is a little bit frightening. But there's some shaking of the tree that needs to be done, and the bad apples sort of need to fall away because those few have had a negative effect, creating all of these other fears. Why can't we live in a society where children can run in the streets and play and throw their bikes on the lawn and not come in till the street lights come on? You know, we can't let them walk home from school, or playgrounds are dangerous and school grounds are locked when school is out. There's no going, you know, to play in the playground. I mean, there's lockdown. You can't even walk into an elementary school without showing ID and checking in, and that's apparently for our safety. But what? I don't know. There are a lot of negative things that need to be corrected, and if this is an opportunity for our planet, our Mother Earth, to sort of self-correct and, you know, shake the bad apples from the tree, so to speak, and maybe we're going to go through another great change, maybe another evolutionary step through our own consciousness expansion, and we're going to grow.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and the truth is,
I think here's what I want to tell everybody, and I save this for the Patreons, but I want to tell everybody, like, who you are right now, where you are right now, no matter your flaws or whatever they are, you are good enough for somebody. Like, if you're good enough for the job you want, you're good enough to do what you want to do, and you're good enough to be loved. And I mean all the way. Whoever you are, wherever you are. And you shouldn't let people make you feel any other way.
I just wrote a meditation on enough. And it is about everybody is born good enough. You'll have enough money, enough time, enough energy. You know, people can relax and begin to see the softer side of the word enough. Maybe when you look at the food on your plate, maybe you should think that's probably enough food. If you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning, instead of creating anxiety and forcing yourself back to sleep, maybe you should think I got enough sleep. You know, there's all of these stresses, and all of these things that people's personal value, their worthiness, their self-acceptance, their esteem, what they believe about themselves, all of that is imbalanced right now. And it is really time for people to sort of settle in to themselves and begin to take a good look and to relax and know that being enough and feeling that you're good enough is actually a state of being. It will really allow your worthiness, your true value, you to realize the equality among the humans. You begin to really see that. And when we do think we're enough and believe that and trust the universe, almost everything you ask for, you get. When you trust the universe will provide, when you believe that, it does. Your needs are met. It's important. You and other radio show hosts and me, we are bombarded with different views and beliefs and other people's research. And I just did a webinar for Earth Origins, a conference that's been pushed out to November in Sedona. So we did a webinar. And, there's all these different energies and all that coming all the time, and sometimes you just got to take a break from all of it, let the subconscious do its job, let it process, let it put things into the right places, and just trust the universe that everything is the way it's supposed to be. And as long as we're moving, forward, that's the thing. I mean, you can't move forward if you're stuck in fear.
Yeah,
you're not afraid. You're moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not quitting. So when people do the past life stuff, has anybody ever brought up Atlantis? Just curious. Have they ever brought up places like that you never heard of?
Yeah, absolutely. People have had past lives on other planets. They've had past lives in prehistory, when the world looked different before the split of the Pangea. And then, of course, there was the one man who, on his deathbed, literally in the hospital, told his son, listen, I'm dying, and go down to the gift shop and bring me back a yellow legal pad. And he wrote out everything that he remembered of his past life on Atlantis. And so certainly as a soul, we can glimpse about both our future and our past lives, because there is really no linear time. That's not how it works really out there, the big picture. It's not really past and present. It sort of all happens at once in a strange way. But the mind, we can move backwards and get glimpses. And sometimes the information isn't so important that it will leak through into our dreaming, and we may have the same dream over and over again. It's very important that we pay attention to that type of dreaming, because it is telling us something that we need to know about ourselves. The language of the subconscious is not English or French. It speaks in images. And so dreaming is the perfect way for it to show places or people, or to create a message to the conscious mind, so that you have a deeper understanding of the self, or you and your soul, really.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a thing to be said about that whole Atlantis thing. Like, I really feel like there's something to it, because I've had dreams about a place that had a desert, a beach, night sky. It had like temples, and then it's had like a desert and a jungle. And I'm thinking, how is this? And trees. And I'm like, there's no place like this that has like everything. Maybe it's my mind making this thing up in my head. you know? And I'm like, no, this is real, man. Like, this is real. Because I've been feeling these things that I felt in those dreams too, you know?
I mean, ancient Egypt was very lush, and it had beautiful swamplands and greeneries and trees. And it also could open into, a vast desert, but it had the Nile, this beautiful, river supporting all life. Yeah, it had a lot, So, I mean, there are places on Earth that can offer so much incredible, vast beauty. I mean, maybe not all in the exact same, place, but absolutely. If you're dreaming of something like that, maybe you're dreaming of a time or a place specifically. What else is going on in the dream?
I don't know. Like, it's so faint.
Like glimpses.
Well, it's more like a feeling, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's always, the night sky is always like, I don't know. It's always really vivid, the night sky. The stars are always really big. I have this feeling of peace, more like a knowing of peace, right? And people are dressed in really weird things like I've never seen before. Like, I would say robes, but it's like they're wearing pants too. I don't know, man. It's weird. And I feel like I had this, I don't know, I had this visions of certain people, and I don't know, sometimes I wonder if I'm making it up in my mind. And when I really try to think about it, Laurie, I can't explain it. It's like my mind goes blank. All I know is it's like this place that has palm trees. It's got desert, but it's got woods, and it's got mountains, and it's got everything, where you would have to travel to see all this stuff. It's got farmland even. And I've seen it 5, 6, 7 times at least. I've journaled about it. There's people in my life that when I get around them, I feel that way. My son's definitely one of them. Believe it or not, Dan's one of them. I don't want people messaging Dan and assuming something. I mean, am I going to quit the show because I'm talking about Atlantis too? Moron.
No, I've had experiencers sort of describe sort of the same thing, that think there may be the sky, because they can see the stars, and the sky is dark, but the brilliance of the stars are everywhere, and they're very big. And then they see this beautiful planet that's got trees and deserts and mountains, and it's Earth. Maybe this is just sort of the beginning when you first came to the planet. And maybe you were one of those people that came with the Atlanteans.
But what happens when I meet, like, say, Dan? Like, I know he was one of them, but what am I supposed to say to him? All I've been saying to him is like, dude, keep doing your show. And when I meet these people, I'm like, keep expressing yourself. I don't want to say, hey, man, you were this person from Atlantis I met in a drink. I don't want to wig them out,
Oh, you should. You should wig them out. It won't kill them. They'll be okay. Maybe it'll jog their memory, or maybe it won't. I mean, I have people tell me all the time, oh, Laurie, I've seen you here and there. I've seen you on a spaceship. I've seen you on another planet. And, sometimes I have maybe a similar memory of something. And you've got to say it, because maybe they have the same thing and they just haven't said it yet. I believe we come back sort of to our soul family, that the people who end up in our lives have been in our lives before. that we were all working out some sort of joint karma in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I know these people feel this pull to do this stuff, but if we can't define it, Laurie, then what are we supposed to do?
Well,
like that's why I wanted to do that regression with you. I want to figure this out. I don't want to be confused anymore. I don't want to get attached to people anymore and then them not be around. I don't want that stuff anymore. I want to know, like, why I'm feeling these things,
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a right to know. And when you have strong feelings or sensations or glimpses or dreams or anything that keeps, coming back, then it is something that needs to get looked at and taken care of so that you'll feel like you're in control to begin to attract the type of energies and people into your life that creates the right growth. But see, this is the thing. Here on the earth, we have a lot of friction. And it's funny, for a lot of humans, that's what kind of propagates the growth, that they have to have this sort of turmoil. They have to maybe attach themselves to somebody who walks away. They have to feel that abandonment to understand that emotional energy so that their emotional intelligence is increased, so that they are bigger and better. I mean, that's kind of how we learn. It's like, it's not always bad. It's like a parent doesn't reprimand a child for falling down when they're learning to walk. It's about learning. And so will be all of the things that we need to learn here on the earth, everything that we need to learn about love, we have to experience. We can't read about it. We have to experience it and grow, and until we can get to that point of unconditional, non-judgmental love.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. I mean,
but you got to be able to love yourself that way too.
You have to.
This is this is what I see. Like people are ashamed of wanting what they want.
This is the Rogi Report news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogi. A company is going to be deploying 20 satellites into low Earth orbit. And no, this time it's not SpaceX. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency awarded Lockheed Martin a $5.8 million contract for satellite integration work for the Blackjack program. Blackjack is a project to deploy a constellation of 20 satellites into low Earth orbit. What will the satellites be used for? They will provide a global high-speed network in low Earth orbit that the Department of Defense can use for broadband communication and adapt for other purposes such as missile defense or navigation. The plan is to launch the first 2 satellites in 2021 and 18 more in 2022. In strange COVID news, a mysterious man dressed as a plague doctor has been spotted walking around a Norwich suburb in England. The costume has been both entertaining and alarming to local residents. A local resident wrote, "I was sitting there and I was getting angry because my mom has a phobia of masks. I know that even in the daylight, if she were to go around the corner and bump into him, she would be so scared. Another resident wrote, scared the life out of my wife and terrified my children. And one person tweeted, are they doing anything wrong or just going about their business in a plague doctor costume? Surely they are being extra responsible by wearing a full face mask. Haunted quarantine. In a town in Indonesia, residents returning from the big city are being asked to self-isolate for 2 weeks. The local regent warned the two groups to self-isolate for 14 days. And if they disobey the self-isolation order, well, they should be locked inside of a haunted house. But we will still feed and monitor them. 2 residents of the local town agreed to self-isolate, but they violated the order, and they were locked inside of an abandoned haunted house. The house is located in the middle of a rice paddy and is known by locals to be haunted. In Big Cat sighting news, a series of photographs was released anonymously through a private Facebook group called Big Cats in Cumbria. The witness said the size of the cat caught her attention and she was lucky enough to get the pictures before it slinked away. More than 40 sightings of the mysterious big cat were reported since 2003. This is the Rogi Report News on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogi.
Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How they communicate with them? Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and I am your host, Joe Roop. Welcome back. Thursday night, April 30th, as we head on into May. Marina Jacob is our guest tonight, experiencer, channeler, and there's going to be some really interesting and exclusive, hopefully, information that's going to come out on this show tonight. And if you're into, I guess, all the stuff that's been going down, this is going to kind of relate to what we've been talking about lately, too. This is, I don't even know how to prepare you for this, honestly. Really don't. Want to thank our sponsors, too, real quick. GetTheT.com. Ronnie McMullen's doing a fantastic job. You guys got to know, too, he's still doing a show, Deep Waters Radio, that's coming on every Monday night here. That's kicked back up, and he's starting some other stuff. And then we're going to do this show is only 2 hours. It's no longer 3. And so when we do this, after this, Ryan Gable's going to come on at 11 p.m. Pacific every single night. If you want to call into the show tonight, it's 1-800-588-0335. You can join the Fringe chat room at thefringe.fm/chat room. The archives will be up. You just have to forgive me because we got machines running back here and trying to get the new station set up. So just like always, I'll catch them up for you. I promise you. You can join our Patreon too. If you want to support, you can just go to patreon.com/LTV radio. The Astral Journal's released. We got some other stuff coming out for you. There's a new RSS feed I've been working on too. I got a couple of things I've put in there that's totally exclusive and specific stuff that, I know you're interested in, but I probably wouldn't broadcast all of it, out on the air like I am now on the internet. But anyways, lots of cool stuff. Go check all of it out. I don't even have time to tell you about all the stuff that's on there. Giveaways, prizes, exclusives, Discord invites, a private Facebook group that we're opening up, and all of you are going to get my undivided attention. I just got to work out all the text and stuff on it. Okay? All right, so let's get on with our guest tonight. I don't think I have any other announcements to make other than that. I hope all of you are still having fun with your quarantine, and I do want to thank you for being with us during that time. So Marina Jacob is here with us, and from a little girl, she has had the ability to connect with loved ones from the other side through a process of automatic writing, as well as having vivid dreams that were becoming real. She has also developed the ability to truly connect with different guidances through her life. Eventually, she relocated to the United States, where she was connected with an ET race. They called themselves the Hybrids, and the Hybrids taught Marina to telepathically connect and hear them with the new metaphysical teachings, and she learned the structure of the universe. Ooh, that's cool. I want to talk about that too. And the connection with consciousness, the quantum field, parallel realities, dimensions, and the true existence of nature and of the ET races. This led Marina to develop a true understanding and education about the nature of our existence, guided by the Hybrids. They also taught her how to detox her body, and she currently is on a new raw vegan juicing diet. And before 2012, she was connected by Ra, who taught her high-level techniques and the changes to planet Earth. She was also connected by the Palladians that gave her the new advanced ET tech, which she documented in the 2 books that she has out called The Harmonic Reactor, and the latest book, Nanotechnologies. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about too. The technologies are about teleportation, parallel realities, dimension densities, healing, and the life AI consciousness for quantum computer algorithms. Now, lately, she's been working with a higher consciousness called the Council of 9, she says, and working with different scientists to help humanity with the ascension of the new 5D Earth. And finally, in 2016, Marina was contacted by the 11 dimensional beings, where she received new messages for humanity about technologies, the current status of our government structures, and suggestions for the new era of intergalactic timelines. Marina continues to distribute and help humanity to this day. That's some pretty interesting stuff, I got to tell you. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to have you here with us. So I don't even know where to start with this. You got to start me from the beginning here, because just to recap on it, because how many books do you have out now? I
have 4.
4, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, marinajacobi.com is the website too. I'll drop that into the chat room here. So you've had some pretty intense experiences. I can't imagine going out and explaining this to everybody, but you were contacted by the ET races that are telling you all this stuff that's coming. So when was the first time, explain to me the first time you were contacted, what that was like.
Well, I was in...
Yeah, I think we got cut off. But let me make sure that we're back. Let me make sure we're back on the station. I have no idea what happened. That was really weird. I have no idea what happened.
Wow.
Yeah, we're back on the station. Okay. So my point, like what I was saying, I think before we got cut off is like, I think we should stop fighting who we are, number one, first and foremost. Like, you know, if we're a certain way, then we should just accept it, number one. Like, accept it. Doesn't matter who else accepts it. Accept it. And be proud of who you are. Like,
embrace it.
Yeah, like you said, well, you know, Aries tend to fall fast and all this other stuff. Well, maybe, but I'm super picky, right? Really. And I just remember it's like my son was born. I was an emotional wreck where most people are like, man, I can't believe you're crying this much. Like, it was deep for me. So when I feel something, I feel extremely deep. I'm not ashamed of that, you know, and
shouldn't be.
But I have learned to become extremely picky, but it's like because that puts me in a vulnerable state, right? Like too vulnerable, actually. Even for me, a big old man, you know, like I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to that stuff. So, but I think that's the first thing is just like accept who you are. Because all you're going to hear from people is like, oh man, you do this and you do that. You got your parents and your kids and your friends, your family, you got everybody trying to tell you who you are. And if you're conflicted with that, then you're just going to be in when I say you, I mean me, like you're just going to feel like you're not good enough all the time or you don't belong here or something, you know?
Well, you know, that's why the ability to observe ourselves, people are products of their environment. There's a lot of our behavior is programmed from the subconscious mind, and we pick up things subconsciously from the people who raise us and our friends, and we're products of our environment. That's just the way it is. It's just when we begin to observe that and then look past it, that is step one, is self-acceptance. And we should all accept ourselves, embrace ourselves, like I said, and then begin to create the change that we want within ourselves. I mean, because we're all perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, I'm thinking, this is what I think. Like, I really believe in this truth, vibration, frequency type thing. And I believe once you truly accept who you are, then you will vibrate those types of things into your life. And if you want certain things, then you vibrate those things, you know, and they'll come into your life. But
it's a law of attraction.
But here's what happens. What if it doesn't? What if it keeps showing up as something else, you know, and it's like, what am I doing here? What am I doing wrong?
Well, I mean, what am I doing is the right question to ask, because based on the law of attraction, what comes to us is what resonates within our frequency, or what can harmonize within our energies. And so it's the laws of likes attract likes. And so it's an energy that we're putting out. Maybe it's a unhealed part of the self, or maybe it's, like I said, we're not fully integrated as people. So all these different aspects of the psyche, you know, the inner child, the rebel, the lover, the judge, I'm not good enough, you know, all these different aspects, you know, not all of them are true because they're all just a small piece of the whole. So it's something that we're sending out. It is based on the laws of attraction. So it's, you want to put out the energy that you want to have. You know, it's like the old saying.
I swear on everything, I feel like I'm doing that. But it's, you know, I believe in what you're saying, so I'm not going to stop. I totally believe in what you're saying.
Oh, it'll happen because that's how it happens. But maybe your energy just has to go further out there. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, let me turn this down because we're clipping out. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to use the different encoder because the physical encoder went out. So I apologize about clipping in your ear like that. So, okay. So when someone goes under, right? And let's say, because we're going to do this, right? And when I go under, can you do like multiple things at once? Or like say, what you and I are talking about now, plus the past life thing, can we work that out at both? Or do you have to have like separate sessions? Does it take longer?
No, I mean, I'm very creative, and I have a way of weaving in what we need to address, and that's all part of the intake interview. I mean, maybe one of my questions would be like, at the end of this, what would you have liked to have accomplished? What part would you, sort of thing. Yeah, so, sorry. Absolutely. You can do more than one thing. I mean, even in past lives, it's not uncommon at all for people to jump from one to another and go to a different past life.
Okay.
Because the question might be, I might ask, say it's an energy or an emotion, I might ask, well, when feel sense into the self, when was the first time you felt that? And the mind just swirls into the first time, and that might be in a completely different life than the one we're viewing, or it might be in another place altogether. It happens. I mean, people spontaneously regress too. I mean, I was doing a session with a guy, and he was, he had this creative energy, and he was blocked. He couldn't hit it, and he didn't know why. It was like self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's 10, okay? 10 years old, and he has jumped back on his own. He regressed him just spontaneously to a 10-year-old. Other people were working on a very, mundane issue, so to speak, very common for me. And then boom, they gone back into a completely different life, and they correct me, no, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I see. Then we'll just move right into a past life regression because they did it on their own.
Wow.
You never know what's going to happen. So I think, and I can't definitively say this to be scientific fact, but I think that the emotional impact of the memories in this life or the last, that's how things are based. That's why we have triggers, because there's a high energy around that. And so something triggers us and boom, we react in this burst of energy. And so because that's how it's stored in the subconscious mind to react like that big energy. And so when we go back to the first time somebody felt that, it can be, so that it'll go right into that emotional energy and boom, right to the incident or event or time when it took place. And I've heard some really cool things in past life regressions. And I mean, not everybody is, famous, and that doesn't come up nearly as often as, you might be led to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't care, yeah, you're right. Everybody thinks that they're like a prince or a king or something like that. I was a king this or that or whatever. I was like, well, who was the guy that was shoveling manure in the stall, right? You weren't him. You were never that guy. But I start really thinking, like, another reason why I want to know is like, and maybe this is a bad mentality to have, but it's like, why do I keep experiencing the same things over and over again with people? Why do I keep getting I don't know, the same thing over and over again, and each time I experience it I think, well, this time it's different, right? I mean, you kind of know what I'm saying. This time it's totally different, but it's not.
Well, it's going to be different if you make sure that at that very defining moment, it is different. How you respond or react can, how we respond changes the way people around us do.
Well, I've tried so many different ways. I swear. I've even tried, like, I've let people just run completely over me, and really loved with all my heart. I'm talking about in ways that if I told you, it'd probably make you sick, because I thought unconditional love was really what matters. But what I've started realizing is, like, I'm not unconditionally loving myself either, right? I'm not accepting me for what I want.
Yeah, you have to have the big emotional energy, like compassion, mercy, pity. All of that has to do with love, trust, and security. And, we have to have those for ourselves before we can have them for others. If we don't have them for ourselves, then we're not really giving it to others. We just think we are. And we have to feel it for ourselves, because until you can have compassion, mercy, love, and pity, and all of those things for the self, you can't have it for another, because you don't know how to experience it. But there's a deeper and truer way to feel all of our emotions, which is why I'm a huge advocate of doing the chakra work.
Yeah.
Because our emotional energy is directly related to our chakras. So for instance, if there's a woman who's very promiscuous and having lots of love affairs and overly promiscuous, then that behavior alone dictates a imbalanced sacral chakra. That's the second chakra.
Right.
And she was most likely subjected to unhealthy sexual energy in her developmental years, either through innuendo, molestation, inappropriate touching, just whatever it was, registers in the sacral chakra, because through those developmental years, the child really has no idea of sex.
Gotcha.
And so it plays out, right? And so a disempowered person, somebody always giving their power away, having no confidence, no use of will, you can see that they're having solar plexus imbalance, or heart chakra, or third eye chakra, if they're not feeling intuitive and not being able to sense and feel into their own bodies, their own environment. So the chakra work is very important. So a lot of times I do a little chakra tuning, a little chakra tune-up before we do the heavier work, like past life regression or abduction.
Okay.
Just so the energies are stronger. I mean, if the root chakra, if the child was abused or neglected or wasn't loved, or, all of their emotional energy as an adult will be coming from the inner child there. That's in the root chakra. So by balancing that, you can change your life.
Well, why does society put pressure on us to become perfect, though? Like, you need to fix all of the stuff before you can, love somebody else. Like, I swear to God, by the time somebody fixes all that stuff, they're going to be 80 years old,
No. It's not at all. You can do it all in one day.
Can you do that?
Listen, I'm telling you, when you do an inner child session and you secure that root chakra, all of your relationships will be 100% different, because the emotional energy in a relationship is ruled by the inner child. If the inner child isn't secured, happy, at ease, feeling they're good enough, accepted and loved, then that's going to bleed through all of the relationships. No, working the mind and the spirit, it all has to be done. It's a trifecta. And yeah, we can't work just in the spiritual realm. We can't work just with the mental and the subconscious, or it has to be all of it. I mean, I recommend when I do heavy trauma work or past life regression or abduction, whatever, I suggest to people that they go for a massage.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Begin to some of that out of the body. I tell them to take a rock salt bath with baking soda and some essential oil to help move that negative energy out of the body. The physical body has a memory as well. It holds emotional memory on a cellular level embedded right into the physical body, and we can move all of that in the mind and in the body and shift your energy quite quickly, and you feel and act more secure, more grounded, stronger. There's something almost magical about what begins to happen in the brain when we do that work.
Man, yeah, see, I might need to do that for real, like, because I don't know, though, like, I want to do this stuff just to make sure, but I feel like I've learned this balance to, like, love unconditionally, but also don't allow myself to be taken for granted anymore, or used, or
That's
whatever.
Right, because then you're disrespecting yourself. If you allow somebody to abuse you in any level, then you're disrespecting yourself. I mean, I don't mean in the moment if you're being overpowered. I just mean if you continue to go back, then you're not respecting and loving and nourishing and nurturing the true self inside. And you let that happen. And so it reflects in other aspects of the life. So yeah, you can't go back to it. You can't keep giving them chances. You give somebody another chance to hurt you, you're actually disrespecting yourself, because the higher part of the mind knows it's desire driven idealism that they're just going to change and everything's going to be okay and it's magical. Well, that's not going to happen, because we have to look at realities unless both people are willing to begin to shift out of the energies that are no longer serving them. I mean, just asking yourself, is this how I want to feel? Is this how I want to be?
Yeah, I do. I swear to God, I'm tired of, like, having to, yeah. Like, even in my I'm just going to say, like, even in my personal life and my family life, I'm tired of having to try to convince somebody that I love them. And then it's like, I think, like, even when I grew up, my father, I think he even knew, like, oh, I know he loves me. So he'd, like, keep me in his back pocket just so he could take stuff out on me, you know? And I would never, and I don't want to be, and I kind of resented that. Like, you're not just going to keep me in your back pocket anymore just so you can beat up on me. You know?
That's owning you. That's not loving you. I mean, I'm sure he did, love to their certain ability. Certain generations were raised with different ideology regarding love and affection. But
he's a good guy, though. You have to understand, like, he's not into this spiritual stuff, and he's not into, like, not like this. And so I've learned to unconditionally love him, but I don't entertain I don't let him kind of vamp off of me anymore. And he sees it too. He laughs about it now, but we've come to a mutual understanding now. I think it's really cool.
Well, yeah, because you've taken your power back by not allowing that behavior, because it's not, because you don't like it. Right? I mean, and fair enough. Doesn't make him bad, but like I said, we all have, because of society, certain religions and culture, we raised different generations to act and behave in different ways. I mean, truth is, wasn't that long ago, the men were and women were pioneers and coming across, vast lands. And so really, they were in total survival mode. I mean, they were running into snakes and bears and indigenous people who were not happy to see them. And so it was all about survival. So each generation changes a little bit and how we express love. And I want to say, I think we're doing better. Yeah. We're not perfect. We have a long way to go, but I think that people are learning and doing better.
I feel like I'm getting better at it too. And I feel like a lot of people are getting better at it. Especially people that are doing the spiritual work. It just sucks when you do spiritual work all the time because I think you got to take a break from it, man. Like you said, you got to be able to walk away for a little while and say, look, I just want to relax and have fun. I don't want to do this, but you still got to come back to it and do the work. Because I feel like if you stay in it, it's good God.
I mean, you can't be being spiritual. Having a spiritual life doesn't make your life better. In fact, it makes your life tougher because you're faced with all of these things now, all of these challenges that you're ready to look at. Having a spiritual life is difficult. The practice, the rules, they're simple, but it's not easy to always follow, and do your best. And it's not always easy. It's simple. We know what we're supposed to do, but it's not always easy because we get in our own way. And the spiritual life is not an easier life. In fact, it's much harder. When they say ignorance is bliss, they might not have been wrong.
Yeah, right. To give me the blue pill. For sure. I get it. Well, listen, we got to roll out of here, but I want to do the regression. Am I going to be able to record what I do and let the listeners hear it or what?
Yeah. So, like I said, there's some legal things that I have to work out, but you will be able to record it. You'll be able to share some of it. Certainly not the induction because we don't want to accidentally hypnotize anyone, but I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Man, I can't wait either. And thank you for coming back on the show. I really, really do appreciate it. I mean, more than you know.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been great, as always.
It's always a deep conversation with Laurie McDonald. And you guys go to True You Hypnotherapy. You stay pretty booked out, though, don't you? Most of the time, staying pretty busy?
I'm definitely busy. Yes, I'm very fortunate.
Well, we're very fortunate to have you on the show. Thanks again for coming out. I really do appreciate it, Laurie.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, take care.
Laurie McDonald, everybody, go check out the website. I think that was like the third time that she's been on the show. You guys have to, forgive me for blowing up, but I don't like people meddling in my personal life and especially meddling with my team. So there you go. Now you know. Don't do it. Because we're all here to stick together and grow and figure out our past and respect each other's past and treat each other fairly. And so if you're here just to stir up stuff, gossip, start rumors or whatever, you're going to get weeded. You're going to get weeded out and you don't want to be weeded out. You're here for a reason, right? You're here for to figure stuff out, I hope. For the big stuff, big answers, big questions. That's why we're